is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. It's Nick Barris here with you on a Monday. I hope you had a very pleasant weekend, and I invite you to join in the conversation with us today because it's been a while since we've had our guest who's going to be here in just a moment. I'll introduce her in a second. To talk about pets, animals. We like to do that periodically here, and it's been a spell since we've last done so, but this is your chance if you have a dog, a cat, or some other type of pet and a question, especially as we're transitioning out of the summer months into the fall and winter. Give us a call. It's I think a good time to address a lot of these different issues, some of the different medicines that are out there, flea treatments, all this, because like I said, we haven't done this show in quite a while. Now I have dogs and I go to a veterinarian, but my real veterinarian is sitting right over here next to me, and it would be Allison Fields. And I would go to her as my veterinarian if we lived in the general area, and there are great vets in town, but I would. And I've called her with questions in the past and for advice. It's so nice to see you.
It's so
Allison
good to see
Fields of Dreams.
It's so good to be back. It's been, gosh,
Where have you
a year
been,
and a
Allison?
half.
Where have you been? It's COVID and everything else.
Yes. I was last here March of 2020.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Gosh, it's so good to see you. You look great.
Thanks.
You look great.
You
And
too.
you were saying throughout the pandemic, it obviously was hard on a lot of people, but the observation, at least from me with our vets, is that the veterinary business still is very busy. Despite COVID, people are taking their animals. And how was it for you?
It's been a rough year for all veterinarians and all veterinary
clinics. What do you mean
clinics.
now rough? Like in terms of what?
Well, we never closed.
Right.
We've been open, just like your doctors and everything else. Most of us made some changes and did curbside, where you pull up, you call, we come get your dog. Here's kind of where the problem started. The people in their cars may or may not answer their phone when you call. They may or may not leave to run an errand while their dog's in there and may not be available. And so while that was happening, we're inside trying to take care of the dogs, and we can't get a hold of the owner, which then what do we do with this dog that we've got here on the table, their cat or whatever?
You're finished with them and they're ready to be picked up, and the owner's
and they're not there. So then we have to take the pet and find a home for it, put a cage card on the cage, take its collar off, put a paper collar on, do all this stuff that the owner then gets back when I'm in the middle of my next appointment because they've lost their appointment time now. And then they get angry because I can't come immediately to the phone because they're now here to pick up their dog. So
come on.
But this is what happened to every single veterinarian across the world. I'm in a Facebook group of 15,000 veterinarians from all over the world, and this is happening everywhere. And so now you're already 5 minutes behind because you had to deal with their dog, but now you have to take time out of your next appointment to talk to Angry Karen and then go get the dog. So now you're like 15 minutes behind. So now the next person's already mad because they're late. Because we're late.
Are you saying, would this kind of stuff happen just because of COVID, or didn't these things happen in the past before COVID?
No, because you were in the building.
I know, but wouldn't they sometimes still leave if they thought it was going to be a while?
Because we wouldn't let them.
Oh, so they'd sit there and wait, and they're done.
You're there for an appointment. You come in, you have your block of time with the doctor. You're in the room. We shut the door. You can't leave.
Okay, I see.
But now they're leaving. Now you compound that with the fact that the first bit of COVID, everybody was home, right?
Right.
So all the dogs were having stress diarrhea because their owners were there all the time. The cats were flaring.
Really? I thought the dogs would like it having them around.
No, the dogs did not like it, nor did the cats.
Really?
And the cats were having flares of upper respiratory tract infections, urinary tract issues.
Wow.
And so we have this huge influx of things caused by people being home, on top of the regular things that we're seeing. And then everybody started getting more pets.
No, I know.
So then we have all the new pets on top of all of the regular stuff, on top of all of the stuff that we're inducing by stressing out our animals. And then we get to the phase of the pandemic called I'm staring at my pet too long. where we were diagnosing normal anatomical things because people just have too much time at home.
At home, looking at the pet and thinking something's wrong and bringing them in.
Such as nipples.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So now we have diagnosing normal anatomical things on top of all of the new pets, on top of I'm stressing my pets out, or it was the limping because they took their dog on 47 walks a day. So all of these things added together with people not staying or answering their phones, and we're trying to see all of these things, and people... Here's the other clicker, because at some point I'm really nervous that we're going to go back to curbside, and I need everybody to pay attention to this part. Just because you're on the other end of a phone does not give you the right to be mean or rude to people.
I know.
I mean, it's been shocking to me, and I understand that during a pandemic, we've never been here before, and everybody has a little bit of nervousness, anxiety, scared, frightened, depressed. Everything has changed in our world. But I'm telling you, Nick, the amount of people that took that out because we weren't face to face and yelling at our staff and the doctors and everybody, I got to the point that when they started getting ugly with me, I would hang up the phone and walk outside and meet them at their car and say, let's do this in person, shall we?
Yeah, boy, I'm sorry. I had no idea. And I had not heard that. Is it because of change of routine that some animals, when the parents or family is around?
They've all adapted by now.
But initially it's like mom and dad are gone during the day, and all of a sudden they're here 24/7 working from home. It threw them off their game.
And, you know, that lasted for about 3 months or so, and then we got into the phase of I'm staring at my pets.
Gosh, I hadn't heard that either.
But there's something like, I can't remember how many 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million, something new pets that were acquired in the United States, but yet we graduated like 5,300 veterinarians. So...
Yeah, it didn't keep up.
There is a veterinary shortage. Every single veterinary clinic in this country could stand another vet, if not two. And we're all short-staffed.
But they're like a lot of businesses, but you're making money.
Yeah.
Okay, at least
at the cost of our health.
People, I know. Well, and I was going to say, you know, another very serious side effect to this. My wife pointed this out to me because, you know, we're very involved with animals, ARC, and veterinarians. Suicide rate among veterinarians.
It's very high. It was high
I know, before
the pandemic, but it has gotten worse during the pandemic.
Yes, it has. But can you give me a sense? I think I know. I can guess some. Why is it so? I mean, when we talk high in terms of fields of career occupations, veterinarians
3 times higher than any other percentage of the population in the world.
Yeah.
It's not just the United States. It's everywhere.
What is it? Do you think it is that manifests itself for vets in this way?
The biggest thing that has, when you start looking at all of the reported suicides in veterinarians, one thing that almost affects every single one is the keyboard warriors on social media. People bashing veterinarians on social media. And the thing about veterinarians is there's no HIPAA laws. We don't have to follow HIPAA. We can talk about your pet all we want because there's no law. But none of us do. And so when somebody pops online and starts bashing us because something went wrong or whatever, everybody only hears that one side. And the veterinarians don't come in and say, actually, here's what happened.
Why don't they when there's no HIPAA law?
Because we're better than that.
Well, you may be better, but if someone's blatantly lying, I see nothing wrong with sharing the truth of, you're claiming my dog died because you did lousy treatment. Why not put it out there and say, with all due respect, this is what we did.
Because people don't understand that there isn't HIPAA, and they think there is.
Oh, okay.
And so then they sue us because we said, and then we have this stupid lawsuit that we have to deal with.
Idiots filing lawsuits when they don't know what they're doing. Yes.
So, and then everybody else jumps on the bandwagon from all over the country that don't, and just start.
Oh, trust me, I've been in that myself.
Correct.
Okay, how that works, yeah.
That's a huge thing. The other thing is compassion fatigue. You know, what you guys don't understand when you come in with your new cute puppy is that maybe we were just in a room where we had to euthanize a pet that we'd known its whole life. We've known its owners its whole life. So we're looking at 12, 16 years of a relationship.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard.
That we've cried with the owners, and yet now we have to put a good happy face on, and because you don't want to see my sadness when I walk into your room with your new cute bundle of joy. You're like, what's your problem? We're happy in here. So we've learned really, really well how to
kind of bury
just
that,
turn it off and move on, which is the other reason that the suicide rate I think is so high.
Still there, of course.
Nobody recognizes it because we are all so good at turning it off. So we can be feeling absolutely downtrodden and beaten, but yet we're expected to walk into your exam and be like, hey, Nick, how are you today?
Yeah, well, and there's a level of professionalism, but there's also a level of, hey,
humanity.
You're humanity, and you're a human, and you need to.
Correct.
People don't always understand. Wow, because I was stunned when I heard that statistic on that, and that's
very,
a
very
shame.
high.
People need to understand, because vets, they're just wonderful people, and it's a hard gig, and you love your animals, and you see what's going on with that. Talking about COVID, just. Can you be real clear for folks right now about whether or not can a dog or a cat get COVID? Can it transmit you? For instance, if someone gets COVID, okay, and they're at home, they're not going to the hospital, they're among the many that get it and are going to recover, but they have a nasty case of flu for a couple of weeks with that, and they're bedridden. Can they have their dog there with them keeping company, or would you say, no, you keep your pets away from you while you're sick?
I've had COVID. My pets were all right there.
Okay, and can they get it, and then could they transfer it to someone else, or is it okay? Because I was thinking, I have not had it, but if I did, I would certainly want my wife to stay away from me, but I would be in there, and I wouldn't mind having Biggie Smalls or Dewey there with me to keep me company, but I don't want to do anything to endanger them or someone else.
So the studies are still kind of out about all of it, because you know how hard it was at the beginning to get COVID testing for people. Can you imagine trying to make this happen for animals? So yes, there have been cases where pets, cats and dogs, very few number of each, that have been exposed to COVID have tested positive for viral particles. However, they also have not ever been able to, they don't shed the virus. So they may kind of pick it up and wander around with it for a bit, but it has not been documented that they can then give it back to people. I don't know about other dogs and cats. Frankly, I've been a little too busy to worry about reading the things, and there aren't as many studies on that because clearly people are the important thing in a pandemic. I do know that lots of zoos have had big cats who have had it. The primates are obviously susceptible to it. I think they're vaccinating primates now. And I feel like I just read an article about them vaccinating big cats, but I also could be totally wrong about that. But I think so.
But you would say okay to have your pet dog next to you there. It's not likely he or she's going to get sick, and that comfort of having them hang with you there is a cool thing.
And if you have it, you're quarantining yourself, which means your pets are being quarantined as well.
Yeah, but I mean, he might walk out and then see my wife who's staying in a different part of the house or something, and do I have to worry about that? So I don't know if it's that. Yeah, I mean, did you worry about that? Or
no, both my husband and we got it for Christmas.
Oh, what a nice gift!
Yeah, it was great. Santa was very kind to us.
Okay, well, I just wondered, but yeah, it's not a major concern, and it's not killing these animals. You haven't had dogs come in and die of COVID in your clinic, have you?
Not, but let's also back up and go back to the point of we don't have a real easy way to test for COVID. There are COVID tests for pets, but you can't just go to your vet and say, I want a COVID test. They're very few and far between. They're very expensive. And so trying to test everything isn't going to work. I think there's actually a study that's happening right now for pets of people that have had COVID and testing them. I can't remember if it's for antibodies now to see if they're carrying antibodies or not. But which I thought was really bizarre that the lab company that's doing this isn't offering it to veterinarians or their pets, which we've all been working for. Nobody's taken a day off for COVID unless you had COVID. And so most veterinarians and veterinary clinics have had COVID. It's gone through like every clinic because we're dealing with the public. And so we would be a great pool to test. But yeah, they're like, no, veterinarians, employees are not eligible. We're like, you'd have a great pool here.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, very interesting conversation there. We're going to open up the phone line, 737-7587. If you have a question beyond what we were talking about here, about your pets, your cats, your dogs, I want to ask you what the latest is with the flu treatment, or what am I saying, flu treatment, flea treatment, and other stuff as we embark upon the colder months of the year. So we'll be back with Alison Fields and your phone calls right after this.